Hey, what's up, everybody? It's John from the Lucky Needle. It is Tuesday, May 10th currently. I wanted to apologize that I am really sorry that I haven't updated you guys on what's going on. I know it's been about 4 or 5 months since I've released any videos. It's been a bit of a crazy year for us, so I've just been really busy dealing with a lot of things in my personal life and a lot of things with the business and trying to get this shop built and everything. So I just really haven't found the time to get out here and film these videos, but I do have some updates for you guys, so I want to fill you in on those. I'm going to be doing two update videos today. One video is going to be just on the progress of the shop and where we are at with that. And then I'm going to film another one that you can watch after this, more about some of the projects I've working on and some of the things that have happened this year and where we are with the business and life and everything like that. So to get into this, with the shop progress, what I want to talk about is that I spent a few months after that last video that I released. I spent a few months searching for a reputable contractor and somebody that I can trust to build this shop for me, because I decided that I did not want to go through an out-of-town company like I had tried the first time with the prefab building. So I found a local contractor. He's actually here in Mississippi. He's only about 45 minutes away from me. Very, very helpful. The staff is helpful. Everybody answers the phone when I call them, which is actually really rare, it seems like, these days. I don't know if any of you guys have had any experience in doing construction over the last year or two, but nobody answers their phones, nobody calls you back, everybody's too busy. It's kind of a nightmare. So that's what I've been dealing with, but I'm lucky enough to have found a company that I really like and feel confident with. And so with them, they actually are the company's name is called Improved, and they're out of Mississippi. I'll post up a little picture of their logo and everything. But they do something a little bit differently than all of the other shop building companies that I have seen. So basically, like I had explained earlier, is there are a few types of buildings, and the two that I was considering was either a pole barn, the three I was considering was a pole barn, a red iron, or the prefabbed steel buildings. And we already ruled out that the prefab steel buildings aren't a good way to go. So then when I went to go start figuring out how to proceed with the shop build, it was basically between red iron and a pole barn. And so I found this company called Improved out of Mississippi, and they build their buildings quite a bit differently that I've never seen anybody actually advertise doing it this way. So basically what they offer the option, they build pole barn style buildings. So basically the uprights are, sunk into the ground, just like if you had wood and everything, a traditional style pole barn, but they give you the option to do it all out of steel, right? So instead of 8x8 or 6x6, I can't remember what the uprights are on a traditional pole barn. Instead of the wood 8x8s, they actually use 6-inch I-beams, steel I-beams. So it's, in my opinion, a lot stronger, and I was really worried about building a pole barn out of wood here, because in Alabama we do have a lot of issues with termites, and then we also have a lot of issues with these things called carpenter bees that I had no idea what the heck they were until I noticed they were destroying parts of my deck and parts of my shed over here. So what they do is basically they burrow these big holes into wood and then lay their eggs, and then the woodpeckers come and they peck out the eggs and leave this huge gaping hole in whatever wood structure that you have. So I was concerned about that. So that's why I was really excited to hear about this option from these guys that I hadn't actually seen from anybody else. And basically the reason I really actually think the way that they build the buildings is pretty ingenious is because the buildings essentially, because they're all steel, so they'll last a lot longer, and they have the same wind rating, or actually a higher wind rating than the red iron buildings that I was looking at. So this building that I'm going to get built by these guys is going to be rated up to 160 miles an hour, which exceeds the requirement for my county and the permits that I'm going to need to get. And a lot of the other red iron buildings were only 153, which still met it, but it was right at the end there. So I'm pretty excited about that. The other thing, what's really interesting about the way they build the buildings is it actually ends up being a lot cheaper than the red iron. From what I can understand, we'll see what the price actually is at the end of this project. But from what I can understand, because they sink the I-beams into the ground like you would a traditional pole barn style, the foundation isn't near as complicated. Because with the red iron buildings, what happens is all of the uprights, they have to implant anchors, multiple anchors, and tie them into the rebar and build these kind of complex foundations for that. And if all of the anchors aren't perfectly precisely placed, you're going to have big time problems when your building ends up getting built. And I saw a lot of people complaining about their concrete guy not doing the proper work on that. So that's something I was really worried about. So basically with this style building, you bypass all of that. So you build the building, you sink all of the uprights into the ground, deep enough to meet code and withstand the wind ratings and everything. And then they come and pour just a regular foundation right over top of it. So you bypass all of those complicated molds and all of the complicated placing of the anchors and everything like that. So I'm really excited about that. And because of that style that they build, actually their prices are a lot more affordable than some of the other places I was looking at. So I was able to go with a bigger size building. So I decided that after seeing some of the other buildings that this company had built, they were kind enough to let me go out and see some of the buildings from their customers. They actually called one of their customers and allowed me to come out and see the finished product, which I have found is not very actually easy to get people to let you do that these days. I don't know why. It kind of makes common sense to me, but they were happy to do it. The customer was very happy. He had nothing but positive things to say, and his shop was awesome. It was a beautiful shop, and he had a 30 by 60, and when I was in there, I kind of thought about it and looked around, and I mean, I would have been able to make it work just fine, but it wasn't like big enough for what I really wanted. So I decided that if I'm going to spend this amount of money on a shop, that I'm going to get something that I'm going to be happy with forever. So I decided to go with a 40 by 60, and it's going to go right behind me here. The 40 by 60, and then I'm also going to have a additional 15-foot lean-to on the 60-foot side, so that I can kind of do work outside and have a little covered area for some other equipment, and probably a sawmill I'll put under there and everything. So I'm really, really excited about that. It's more money, definitely way more money than I wanted to spend, but I feel like in the long run, it's going to be worth it, because the last thing I want to do is spend all this money on my shop and then every day walk out there and bitch and moan about it not being big enough, right? So I'm just gonna bite the bullet now and get it done and be happy with it from day one. So that's kind of where I'm at with all of the shop build and everything. You guys can see here that I pretty much got all of the land cleared. I'm just waiting on a few things. A couple of these small trees, and I think some of those, and this big tree, that pine tree there, and that big oak, I think I'm gonna have to cut down. But I'm waiting until I get the plans back from the engineer, and I can get the concrete and foundation guy out here to actually look at where I want to put the shop and give me 100% yes that the shop will be going here, because I would hate to cut down even more trees in an area that the shop isn't going to go, even though I don't think that's going to happen, because I feel like this is a pretty solid spot for the shop. But yeah, that's what I'm working on right now, and I am waiting currently on the engineer, the company's engineer, to finish up the site-specific plans. If any of you guys watched the last video of mine, it's very important to have site-specific plans in most counties. So that's what they're working on right now. I had to pay a little extra for that, which is fine. And the thing, what I really like about it is the contractor is dealing with all of that for me, and I don't have to kind of double check the work, because they know the buildings that they build, and the engineer makes the plans for the buildings that they build, and it's going to be exactly right the first time, and not going to be some back and forth thing between a separate engineer and a separate contractor. So really excited about that. I'm hoping it's going to come through here pretty soon. The engineer honestly is 2-3 weeks later than he said he would have been already, which is fine. It's okay. I'm learning to be patient on this process, and I'm just happy that I found somebody that I trust to get this job done for me. So I'm super excited to share with you guys hopefully some new, update videos, and have more videos coming out on this shop build and making more progress on all of this. And I'm going to be coming out with a lot more videos. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a second update video on different aspects of the Lucky Needle after this. So make sure you stay tuned and watch that. And if you guys aren't subscribed to this channel, make sure you subscribe. Thank you very much. I miss you guys, and I'm going to be on here a lot more. So keep an eye out for me.